So just about sailing. It's June. Back to real time. Let's have a quick recap on the journey. A quick look around Faversham as well, and some ideas on what might happen next. And you can tell by my voice I'm not particularly clear about what will happen next. So the journey is finished, but the voyage is yet to begin. So this is now the beginning of June. We're kind of back to real time-ish. And what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to have a quick sort of summary of the journey round here, which was really a shakedown cruise, and a look at some of the work that I want to do over the next month or so on. So yeah, the journey is finished, but now it's time to prepare for the voyage, to prepare for the big thing. And first of all, thank you a lot. There's been a lot of new subscribers in the last, well, since I started the voyage, and I've put out 13 videos over the last 2 months, and that's not what I normally do, by the way. It's normally 1 or 2 a month, so it's probably going to go back to 1 or 2 a month, so I apologise in advance for that. But what I tend to do is, if there's stuff going on, I will put it together and put it out there. I'm not going to sort of hold stuff back. You know, I could have, I suppose, spread the journey out over 13 weeks, but anyway. So let's do a few statistics first, shall we? Because somebody was asking me about this, and I've written it down because I really can't remember this stuff. So in total, out of the last sort of 7 weeks, 15 solid days of that, probably slightly more, 15 solid days of that was spent travelling. Total of 546 miles in all. And as you noticed looking at the videos, there was a lot of motoring, really a lot of motoring, but I was surprised actually. I thought the difference wouldn't be quite so marked. So 88 hours were spent under motor, or in one case motor sailing. There was about 10 hours of that was a really solid motor sail when I went from Plymouth round to Portland. And so 88 hours motoring, 38 hours pure sailing. That was just because we've had one of the most weird bits of weather, with lots of high pressure systems, wind in the wrong direction, no wind at all. I've had mill pond conditions on occasions. And interestingly, if I look, when I'm doing passage planning, I normally estimate on an average speed of 4.4 knots, and the actual average speed overall, including the motoring and the sailing, has been 4.33, so that's not a bad thing. So I think I might start to use 4.3 as my sort of average, and I've actually been quite pleased at how accurate my passage planning has been, but I do put a lot of effort into that. That's probably because I'm quite old school, so I tend to sort of work it all out. Oh yeah. Yeah, what are you looking for?
I've got loads of international paint to sell.
Loads of international what?
Paint.
Not at the moment for me, thanks.
No. It's the same colour and the bottom.
Yeah, it's all going to be stripped right back, and I'm not sure. I might copper coat it. I don't know yet.
Okay.
So, but thanks for Faversham ships. I'll make a note of your name though, so I might be able to get back to you.
Yeah. All right.
Cheers, mate. Sorry, there's a slight interruption there. I've somebody who came around with his van noticed that the bottom of my boat desperately needed painting, so he was trying to solve some of his paint. So anyway, where was I? Completely lost now. Yeah, so that's the statistics. Let's have a look at some of the routes. I covered some of this underway, but some of the bits and pieces I didn't. So let's have a quick summary of where we actually went. So here we go, the journey is at an end, and here is the UK, London, this is France over here, and I won't go through all this in detail because we went through that before, but basically set off from about here, which is Watchet, over to Wales, down to Lundy Island, then to Padstow, to St Ives, around the corner to Newlyn, round the next corner to Falmouth, lovely hop over to Plymouth, although we didn't get wind all the way, and then a very long leg from Plymouth. This was the overnight passage across Lyme Bay to Portland, which again was a nice place, And then from Portland to the Isle of Wight, which is this bit here, stopped off at Yarmouth, then through the Solent, which is a very busy yachting area. Very long leg through to Brighton. Brighton Marina here, largest marina in the UK. Then a very short hop. It was a bit misty. I wanted to see Beachy Head, but really couldn't. To Eastbourne, Sovereign Harbour, very pleasant. Didn't take me, well actually I did take a lot of film of Sovereign Harbour, but it disappeared. I've got no idea. I'll probably, if I find that hiding away on the computer sometime, I will show you more. But I did show coming into the lock. And then there's a 12-hour passage through to Dover, and you go past Dungeness where the power station is, and there's this strange effect where you kind of get a double tide. So you get the tide going with you on the ebb here, and then you get the tide going with you on the flood the other way. Very, very strange, but wonderful. Stopped at Dover, and then this is a bit I haven't really shown you. Round the corner, Goodwin Sands is here opposite Deal. Lots of shipwrecks there. Did the inner passage, which is perfectly safe on a small boat in good weather. Lovely, lovely sail. Went up there with my sister. Stopped at Ramsgate here. Had to wait for the tides to be a little bit better, and then the final push was really to come up round the corner. I actually went outside of the Margate Sands. This is the Thames estuary here, and we're actually not going into the Thames estuary or even the Medway. We're actually going into something called the Swale, which isn't really a river. It's a sort of cut between the Isle of Sheppey and the mainland. Can I call it the mainland? I think I probably can. Lovely, lovely mooring, highly recommended at Hearty Ferry around here. Loads of places to anchor. Watch the depth, but it is deep enough to anchor out there, so you shouldn't have any problems. I got stuck here, as you saw in the previous video, for an hour or so, and it was about the earliest I could possibly come in. And then round, this is Orr Creek down here, lots of boats down there, wending my way round the Faversham Creek, just past this little leg here, and Serenity got lifted out of the water, and that's where she's staying for the next few months. Well, it was intended to be a shakedown cruise for both myself and Serenity. And what did I learn? Well, I suppose the first key thing that I learned is I absolutely loved it, really loved it, really enjoyed it. And I've wanted to do this since I was about 13, 14 years old. I wanted to kind of go out inspired by reading lots of adventure stories and so on. This is the first sailboat I've owned. I'm not incredibly experienced. I've done the qualifications and been off on courses and so on, but this is my first boat. That was my longest cruise. That was a lot of solo, single-handed sailing. And it could have all gone pear-shaped. I mean, another thing I wanted to do when I was about 13 was learn to fly. I'd love to be able to do that. And I thought a cheap way of doing this was gliding, and I never got round to it until about 3 years ago, and I spent a week learning how to glide. And I really didn't enjoy it. I loved the takeoff and the landing bits when we did a few aerobatic-y type things, but I didn't like the rest of it. I said to a friend of mine, this is just like sort of floating around a bit. I think I prefer sailing. And he quite rightly said to me, well, what's sailing if not floating around a bit? So anyway, there was a fear that, you know, maybe I wouldn't enjoy it, but I loved it. Absolutely enjoyed it. It's a fabulous thing to do. Never got bored once. Sometimes it's horrible, sometimes if you've been awake for a very long time, but I quite like that. You just have to do what the situation dictates, and I enjoy that. It kind of makes you concentrate. It takes you out of your comfort zone, your safety zone a little bit. So Faversham is a lovely place. This is down the bottom of Faversham Creek, and there's lots of really old boats down here, and it just is, you've probably guessed, I do like sort of charming places, and this is a charming place. Right, they have their own tug here, just in case somebody was idiotic enough to get stuck in the mud. Who'd do that? And Morosa is not here at the moment, but here is the Thames Barge. They were all off the other weekend racing, and if you want to have a look at the race, there's a lovely video which Sailing with the Foxwell Family put together. I'll put a link below in the description, and you can see loads of these beautiful great beasts out there sailing. Right, so this is sort of Faversham Centre. There are some moorings, but the key thing about it is you just get these lovely boats. These old sort of Thames barges, lots of them around here. So this is the quayside, literally 5 minutes away from the boatyard, and it's just an utter and absolute delight with Thames barges, tall masts as far as the eye can see. And again, what they've done is they've taken the old wharf buildings, and there's a garden centre, a cafe, a little museum-y thing. There is even, white building, a champagne bar. So it's a nice little area, very close to the town centre as well. We can walk to the town centre, but a delight. Right, so what I was going to do today was to kind of go through a list of priorities, things I wanted to do on Serenity, and I'm not going to do that. Simple reason is I keep changing my mind. Do I do the cheapest things first? Do I do the sort of the logical order stuff first? Do I kind of do the things I absolutely need to do first, and then see if I've got enough money left over to do the wants? And I keep writing different lists, and then I'm also thinking, well, I really miss actually being out on the water, so should I do a list of things that I have to do while she's out of the water, and then do the rest when we get back in the water? The temptation then obviously is to just go cruising straight away and not to do stuff. So let's just have a look at a few bits and pieces. This is kind of random, and I will think over the next few weeks as to exactly what order I'm going to kind of tackle things in. Well, one of the first jobs was to get everything out of Serenity, and I've got this storage facility, so wind vanes off, all the tools are out. Sails, headlining, fenders, ropes, absolutely everything. So emptied, and I've got this nice storage facility which will be good, and it's not too far from the boat, so very handy, very happy with this, and I've still got some space to spare. I'm sure I feel there was something. Right, so there's a very basic principle in terms of water and hull integrity, and that's basically that the water stays on the outside of the boat. Now obviously you saw, because I kind of videoed this when I was coming over from Portland, that this sort of bilge area got full of water, as did this sort of bilge area. It was kind of salty but not very, which was interesting. Now when I opened up, and I've taken it out now, the water tank, there was as much water on the outside of the flexible water tank as the inside, so I think it had shaken itself loose, and a lot of the water was actually due to stuff coming out of this water tank. A few people made comments, and they're absolutely right, that some of these bilge nuts look really gnarly, in particular this one, and also where are the limber holes. And when I looked at it closely, I hadn't really looked at it, this has been filled in. There's a void behind there. This is new. That's original. So something's gone on there for somebody. So this was all one big bilge, I'm pretty sure, but it isn't at the moment. So I'm going to try and have a look at and some of it's not well done actually. If you look at this, there's some of this fiberglass actually peeling off. So I'm going to have a look at a Mirage, another Mirage, or another few Mirages, and see how they've actually done it. So a couple of things here, and obviously what I did notice is that this first compartment filled the most, followed by this one, followed by this one, and this last one was pretty much dry. So the water was kind of getting through into the main engine-y parts, and then sort of spilling out, mainly I think through, there is actually a hole where the foot pump is, and then it was kind of just filtering in. So these areas should be mainly dry. So one of the things I obviously need is first of all to sort out the problem in terms of where the water's going from, and then get an automatic bilge pump, because that could have then pumped the water straight out and stopped it getting into these other areas. The other thing, and I've kind of decided to do this, is, and we'll have a look at the outside of the keel as well, is to drop the keel and actually rebed it, because I'm not happy if it looks like, I always think if the bits that you can see look horrible, what do the bits that you can't see look like? Probably even worse. I've taken the headlining out, which was surprisingly easy. Main reason is I wanted to have a look to see how I could put handholds in here, and I was hoping that I'd actually be able to attach them directly underneath where the handholds at the top are, and I can, so I'm hoping that what I can do is extend these bolts down and then actually put grab rails here. It's a little bit close to the port lights, but that will make it a lot easier because it means I don't have to actually make any massive modifications. Very strange, there's some sort of there's wood fiberglassed into the roof. I thought there were battens here, but there's actually some wood directly fiberglassed. Then I think there's probably another layer of fiberglass, then the inner core, and then the fiberglass at the top. So it's a slightly strange layout. So here she is out of the water. A little bit sad, but necessary. Now I've had the hull jet washed and it came off quite easily, but there's a lot of stuff there. And it obviously needs replacing, but I thought it would anyway. There are a number of through hulls and seacocks that need replacing. This one, for example, this is a depth reader which is no longer used, and you can see that there are sort of gaps around there, and I think this is where the water was coming in the front, which worried me for a while. That's the paddle wheel for the speed log. This was covered in growth around here, so I think the boat was going slower because of all the growth, but also this probably wasn't whizzing around as fast as it should have done again because of that. The keel joint, not very good at all. I Sikaflexed it before I put it in the water 2 years ago, but I didn't use the right primer and a lot of it fell off. There are gaps, and yeah, I'm not at all happy about what might be underneath there. The starboard side is slightly better, but still not desperately happy with this. So for my peace of mind, I think this is a job that has to be done. It's obviously a major one. I should do it later on. This obviously needs all sanding down to metal and so on. I'll probably do all that first and then decide what I'm going to do with the keel afterwards. Believe it or not, this port light is actually not in bad condition. I've made it look a lot worse by putting loads and loads of tape around it. I'm either going to replace this with something that's not quite so dark, or even with clear, but it does need replacing, and the one on the other side is cracked, so I might as well get them both done at the same time. And again, I've made this hatch look much worse by putting the tape around it, which kind of did stop the leaks a little bit. It's very crazed, it's very thick, so I don't think you're going to break through, but it'd be nice to get this refurbished. There is an organisation that does that, so going to get this refurbished, take it out, rebed it. So what's going to happen next? I think I'm probably going to focus on the hull integrity stuff first, and then start putting a project plan together. I'm very welcome of any comments. Anybody who sort of has done this before and what they wish they'd have done differently, etc. But anyway, we'll find out next time. So until then, cheerio, bye.